Okay, to be brutally honest, I was ready to pass the opportunity to review this watch until I realized something. This particular model, while of course looking very familiar, has a new monochrome look, which is proving to be very popular right now. So I thought, hold on a second, the designers of this Militado diver didn't waste any time to jump on this new monochrome trend. However, it gets even better, and I'm not even sure if the designers of this watch actually realized what they did here. So, does this monochrome Militado look cool and trendy? Well, I personally think so, but is it a quality all-around timepiece? Well, that's what we're here to find out. Hello and welcome back. So yes, I think Militado created something very interesting here, and I will explain in a moment when we look closer at the design. However, before we do, a quick disclaimer: Militado did reach out to me and ask if I would be interested in reviewing this model, and now it is here and I don't have to send it back. Now, as per usual, I agreed to share a comprehensive review of this watch and point you to Militado product listings, so all the necessary links as well as the discount information, which I will talk about a bit later in this video, will be in the description. So, the design. It will probably come as no surprise that this is a homage to the BB54, which is a popular watch. However, it is not that simple. Tudor as a brand, of course, keeps on delivering cool and interesting tweaks to their existing designs, and one of their latest, very popular evolutions to the Black Bay line was introduction of Black Bay Monochrome. This monochrome Black Bay release seemed to get everyone very excited, apparently because it makes Tudor look like Rolex Submariner. Well, right, and here I was naively assuming that we buy Tudor because we like Tudor. Well, apparently not. Well, not always. However, as it turns out, this new and very exciting Submariner-like looking monochrome Black Bay apparently has one little detail that doesn't gel very well with quite a few watch enthusiasts, and that is the size. Yes, the new monochrome Tudor is 41mm in diameter, which, while possibly making it look even closer to Rolex Submariner, is larger than a very popular Black Bay 58, which is 39mm, and definitely larger than a Tudor Black Bay 54, which is even more compact, coming at 37mm diameter. And now, taking into account that Tudor as a company not only delivers beautiful designs and innovations, but also is very much attuned to the market sentiment, I wouldn't be surprised that if in the very near future we will see a Black Bay 58 and the Black Bay 54 in monochrome too. I hope you see where I'm going with this. Yes, if you want to see how a 37mm or rather 38mm version of this iconic diver will look in monochrome, well, the future is here. Yes, Militado managed to deliver a monochrome homage of a very popular design even before it came into existence. Okay, all of this are speculations on my part, so don't quote me if this doesn't eventuate. And before I get too carried away, let me show you the other two colorways or configurations that this Militado has on offer. So we also have one with a gilt type of indices and bezel markings, and we also have the same color scheme but with the added date window at 6 o'clock position, which definitely adds some level of practicality without compromising the balance on the dial. Which one is your favorite? Well, do share with us in the comments. Right, dimensions. So we have 37.9mm case, the bezel grip slightly overhangs the case, so the bezel diameter is 38.7mm. Lug width is 20mm, case height is 13.3mm, and lug-to-lug distance is 46.1mm. So with the inverted end links, this watch should work on pretty much most wrist sizes, starting from about 6 inches and up. However, there is a small constraint to it, and I will talk about it in a moment when we look at the bracelet. On the positive side, we have a generous amount of spare links supplied, so even if your wrist is as large as 9 inches in circumference, that is about 23 centimeters, you will be covered. And as supplied, this watch weighs 147 grams. In regards to the movement, we have Seiko NH35 movement powering this watch, so no surprises here. It is a very popular and dependable movement from Seiko, beating at 21,600 vibrations per hour with about 41 hours of power reserve. One thing to keep in mind here is that this movement has a date function, resulting in so-called ghost position of the crown on this no-date watch. Not a biggie, but I would prefer a no-date variant of this movement, the NH38. So we have a very familiar case here. The finishing is good. The case features longitudinal satin brushing on the lugs and on the flanks with thin chamfer along the top side of the case. As we would usually expect on the vintage-inspired designs, there are no crown guards, the screw-down crown is well proportioned and the grip is quite comfortable. The crown, however, is not signed, and there is not much going on the sterile caseback either. The screw-on caseback is fairly flat though, which does help with wrist comfort, and we have declared 200 meters of water resistance on this watch, which is of course very practical. Now, looking at the crystal, and pretty much good news all around. We have a slightly domed sapphire crystal, which is raised to the point that I could even classify it as a box sapphire, which is more complex to manufacture and therefore is more expensive. Also, the distortion at a very acute angle suggests that we have a single dome crystal here. And Militado applied clear anti-reflective coating here, so the legibility is very good. In regards to the dial, no surprises, however the execution is very clean. The hands are well proportioned and we have well polished frames on the indices and on hands, which produces subtle but nice sparkle when the light hits them at the right angle. The dial is not cluttered and I'm okay with the Militado branding and the font used under the 12 o'clock marker. And as a cherry on the top, we actually have a very decent lume here. As you can see in the lume footage, lume application is very consistent and we even have lume on bezel markings, which is pretty cool. And as I speed up the footage, the lume is still very much visible after 15 minutes of lapse time, so definitely no complaints here. So far things seem to be all looking good. However, when it comes to bezel, things get, should I say, interesting. So first of all, I must say that it looks the part. We have a ceramic insert 120 click unidirectional coin edge bezel with lumed markings as a bonus, so it is all good. However, when it comes to bezel action, well, I have definitely seen better. I mean, it is not terrible, the tolerances are good and I'm not detecting any side play, however, the resistance is a bit too high and there is a slight backplay. I'm not sure if the backplay would be less noticeable if the resistance was a bit lower and the rotation a bit smoother, but still the bezel action is definitely not at its best. And the bezel action in general feels a bit springy. Perhaps it will improve with use, and here is how it sounds. The bracelet features solid end links and solid links, with inverted end links integrating well with the case. It is an oyster-style bracelet, fully brushed except for the rivets. The finishing is good and the tolerances are acceptable for the price. The rivets are of course a matter of personal preference, adding to a vintage aesthetics of this watch. We have screws connecting the links and we will need two 1mm screwdrivers on both sides to loosen them up for link removal, so something to keep in mind. Once screwed in, they seem to stay in place, however I would recommend to use a screw-fix compound or screw-fix glue for extra assurance. Now, as we often see with the rivet-style bracelets, the links closest to the clasp don't actually have rivets, and it is the case here too. Not a big deal, however, because of that, those last links are effectively not removable and as such limit the minimum achievable length of the bracelet to about 6¼ inch, so something else to keep in mind. Now, looking at the clasp, and at the first glance it looks okay. It is also not signed like the crown, so at least Militado is being consistent here. It is a fully milled clasp, which is good. However, other than that, it is a very basic clasp, mimicking the very popular design, however, not mimicking the build quality. The action is not very smooth and it is a bit rough around the edges. Okay, it does have a macro adjustments, however, as you can see, because of the rivets on the second link, we can effectively use only the first 3 macro adjustments, which is good, but of course not great. Now, Militado did notify me that they are currently reviewing the clasp design, which I think is a very good news. Okay, we've got to the price. The good news is that Militado agreed to provide a $30 discount code for the channel, which will make quite a difference to the initial price of $149. The discount code, of course, will be in the description. In regards to my verdict, well, let's kick off with negatives. First, I think this watch would benefit from a simpler but signed and more robust clasp. And second, the bezel action, which isn't great. It is getting somewhat smoother as I use the watch more and more, however, it would be better if it was fine right from the start. As for the positives, for me the main selling point of this diver is a very decent execution of the case and the dial, and not to forget a very good lume, including on the bezel. And of course I like this particular monochrome colorway. However, the one with a date is also quite unique and practical. So if these points are important to you, then $120 price after discount could be a very attractive proposition. What are your thoughts? Well, do let us know in the comments. And for other Tudor homages, I have a full playlist and I will link it on the screen somewhere around here. So here you have it. Don't forget to like if you find this review helpful, and of course don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. Take care, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.